All right, Hooligans, this is Coach O'Toole. I'm going to run you through what's the beginning of a playbook. You can always get this link in the email. And as you can see, we're going to cover a couple of topics here. Right now, we've got offense active, but throughout the season, when I find time, I'm hoping to add videos and content for defense, clears, man up, man down, and probably some rides as well. You can see here, you can access our YouTube channel for Hooligans 2023s. That'll give you access to all of these videos where you can discuss, ask questions, and hopefully I can get to those throughout the week so that we're getting better at home along with the weekends when we have time together. I've also created a playlist of full-length games from the past couple of years. When I was younger in my lacrosse days, I would learn a tremendous amount by watching not the ball, but everybody else, attackmen, middies, and defense, what they're doing off ball and how hard they're working to get open, to create opportunities, and to keep people guessing. So I challenge you to watch some of these games and watch off ball to see what these guys are doing to continue moving and getting open and creating some opportunities both offensively and defensively. So without further ado, we'll jump in. Our offensive set is called Irish. It's a 2-2-2 set. And there's some pros and cons to this. The pros are that it's a continuous motion offense that really keeps the defense kind of guessing and always has them thinking about what they have to do next. As you can see, we got two middies up top. We've got an attackman and a middie on the crease and two attackmen behind. Now, one of the cons to this offensive set is that we've only got 4 perimeter players rather than 6. So that means that there's a little bit more pressure on those outside guys to move their feet. One, to shorten those passes to 15 yards or less and make it easy for the guy with the ball to make that pass. So these green circles kind of indicate these areas that they're responsible for. And another pro to this is that it really puts pressure on the defense. When the ball's behind, it's a whole 180 degrees for the defense to see what's happening behind them. And when the ball's up top, it's hard for them to see what's happening on the attack side. Throughout this kind of clickable playbook, you can always go to the next screen, hitting next. You can go back, hitting go back. And you can click on the Irish to go back to your main menu. Now, our offensive set always starts in a circle formation. This is for a couple of reasons. One, it allows us time to get the right personnel on the field. Sometimes we've got to switch out middies. Maybe we have a long stick middie that needs to come off the field. And this perimeter play really pulls the defense apart so they can't double up on the ball. It also gets everybody a touch, gets everybody on the same level and ready for our offense. As we swing this ball around, one of the middies will head to the crease, one of the attackmen will head to the crease. It doesn't matter who. If we have a crease attackman, doesn't matter what position he's in, A1, A2, A3, just go ahead when we move the ball around, slide on over. And same with the middies as well, if there's a crease guy. These players are going to continue to move, so you're never going to find yourself in one position at any time. So again, our 2-2-2 kind of looks like this. And there's two real main components to it. When the ball is high, indicated by this green circle, our crease is low and next to each other. When the ball is behind, our crease is high. This is giving these players opportunity for when they dodge, plenty of clearance around the goal and making it a little bit more difficult for our defensemen to slide. And same with here. We're down low to give them a lot of space and make that defense really have to travel in order to make their slides. So here is how we initiate our 2-2-2 motion offense. And the key is getting the ball through X behind the net. Now you can see A1's got the ball here, but he got it from A2. A2 can move the ball, pass it through X. He can run it through X. He can even go to X and return back to his original position. But as that ball crosses this position at X, we're going to get our motion from the top side of the field. And it really starts with this big sweeping cut from either M3 if the ball is moving around this direction, or M2 if the ball is moving around this direction. So you can see as M3 moves it to A2, A2 passes to A1, the ball crosses X. M3 is getting that sweep. He's got his stick in his left hand. He's looking for a pass from A1, and then he's cutting to the back post. M1 is replacing him up top to balance the field. And A3 is playing off of this action here. Maybe he's kind of using him as a pick, but he's also creating some action on the crease as well to keep the defense active. As the ball moves from A1 to M2 and M2 to M1, you can see the crease is getting low, how they're supposed to, and M1 is setting himself up for a dodge. Now this is really important, and this is a little bit different than what you might be used to throughout your youth programs. What we want to try and avoid is turning our back to the net when we have the ball to set ourselves up for a dodge. You'll see it a lot. You'll even see it at the collegiate level when they're trying to slow the ball down or change the pace of their offense. But for us, what we're going to try and do is make sure that we're in position to always be a threat to the defense, which means M1 is working a little bit harder to get up high and catch that ball facing the net and ready to attack. So let's go over a dodge from up top. We're going to call a dodge from up top Newt. It's named after Newt Rockne, who was a Notre Dame football coach in the 1920s and a little bit in the 30s, I believe. And he's one of the top coaches to ever exist. So our dodge from up top is called Newt. And every time we call Newt, we want to echo that across the field. Newt! Everyone can say it. And that lets everybody know that we want to get the ball up top. And we want to get a dodge from either the corner or from the center of the field. In this scenario, M1 is going to be our dodger, and he's in a ready position. He's going to pass the ball to M2, back and forth, whatever they need to do before M1 is in a good spot to be a threat to the defense. M2 is going to make a move to the middle of the field to stay out of the way and to bring his defender with him so that M1 has the ability to go left or go down the alley, down the side. Meantime, our attackmen are going to get a rotation. They're going to work with this triangle kind of formation, just like the middies do. And we're going to get A2 to cut through, A3 to go out the backside, and A1 to come across to be that release pass for M1 when he dodges. This rotation changes the roles and responsibilities for the defense. So when they're preparing to slide, they've got to think about it, they've got to communicate, and it's just more opportunity for them to break down and make mistakes. So let's say M2 moves to the center of the field and M1 makes his dodge. Like we mentioned, he can go sweep across the middle of the field or he can go down the alley. M1 or A1 is his release pass, and A3 is cheating over just a little bit to try and get a passing lane right here. As that dodge moves down the field, M1's got a couple of options. First option obviously is shoot. He's in a great position here. He's got a great angle on the cage. M3 is being a little bit of a screen, so the goalie's having a hard time seeing the shot. But his other passes, he's got a couple of options here. One, he can skip pass to A3 if it's available and it's open. He can move the ball down to A1, or he can roll back and throw it to M2, who is now replacing his position at the top of the field. So let's say that he passes the ball down to A1. When he makes that pass, we're getting some crease action, and A1's got his head up, he's got his stick in his left hand, and he's looking inside to find A2 doing what we call a C cut. And this C cut really starts with moving up the field and looking for open space. When this dodge happens, more than likely the defender that's on M3 is going to be the go man. He's going to be the slide. And the second slide is going to, the guy covering A2 is going to cover M3. So a lot of movement here is really looking for opportunity when they're starting to make those rotations and finding some open space. All right, so let's say A1 looks inside, he sees nothing, he cradles once, maybe twice, and he moves that ball. The faster, the more efficient we can get the ball from M1 to A1 and over to A3, the faster and the more opportunity we have on the backside. So you can see a couple of things have happened before we go over these arrows. A2 has kind of moved over to the front post because he did that C cut, right? And this is where he ended up. M3 snuck out the back, so he's kind of over here on the backside. And M2 is still up high, balancing the field after M1's dodge. So as that ball moves to the backside, A3's got the ball, he's got the stick in his right hand, and we've got some movement here. M1 can be cutting from the backside. He can be sitting backside if he wants. He's really looking for any opportunity, reading and reacting to the defense. M3 can be doing a seal, which is looking upfield at wherever M2's man is, somewhere in this vicinity. He's kind of sloughing off a bit because his man is so far away from the ball. And he can seal him in, and M2 can come around him for a step down shot. Um, this is great because the entire defense was just looking over here as M1 was dodging. So we move this ball quickly. We've got this entire defense now turning 180 degrees to figure out what's going on back here. So again, we've got M1 kind of cut into space, looking for opportunity. We've got M3 sealing and then replacing to balance the field, and M2 is looking for a step down. If A3 looks inside and none of this stuff is available, M2 is going to be his release man as he steps out and becomes available away from pressure. So you can see that reflected here. M2 kind of hooked around the seal, nothing there. He pops out and becomes available in a non-threatening spot without as much pressure to get a ball from A3 and move that ball back up to M3, who had replaced prior. Now that the ball's up top, you can see the crease has moved back down low like they're supposed to. And if we continue on, M3 moves the ball to A1. You can see he moved his feet. He's covering that area that we talked about at the beginning. And M3 can move that ball back down low. If that happens, the crease is coming high, and A3 is coming over again to shorten up that pass. So you can see we're kind of in our configuration again in our 2-2-2, and we'll reset and we're ready to dodge again, whether that's from up top again or from behind. It's really what feels natural, and when everybody is set and ready for that next round of movement. What happens if M1 actually decided to roll back? He made his dodge from the corner. His options were A3 or A1, but he decided to actually roll back to his left hand and throw it back up top to M2. Well, this is what it looks like. M2 is then dodging from the center of the field. He can go left or he can go right. Left down the alley, probably a little bit better opportunities because it is backside. Everybody was just looking over here to M1 in the dodge, so there might be more space and availability here on the left, which is why it's so important to be just as strong with our offhand than our dominant hand so that we can be a threat to both sides of the cage. And M3 is now from the backside, he's cutting through, making his defender choose whether he's going to slide or he's going to follow. And A2 is getting another C cut to space. Let's say M2 makes that dodge. He goes down the left side. There's no shot there. There's no opportunity. He moves the ball to A3. A3 again is looking inside quickly, maybe a cradle or two, and he's moving it over to A1. again, you can see the crease is going high because the ball is low, and we're working to move our feet and to shorten up those passes and get reset. So in this scenario, again, just to recap, we had M1 dodging from the corner. He decided to roll back. He rolled back and passed to M2. M2 got a redodge down the backside. He had nothing, so he moved it to A3, to A1, and we're back. Now, before we move to dodges from behind the net, I wanted to go over just one more scenario that has some small nuance changes to how we should react if M1 were to dodge from the center of the field over here rather than the corner. So let's say again he's at this corner and he's making this dodge. It was really important for that attackman to cut through because there was limited space on this side of the field, and we wanted to get that defense rotating. But if M1's in the center of the field, they've got a little less time to make that big sweeping cut, so we can kind of cheat while still getting that defense moving. So in this scenario, if M1 is in the top center of the field, it's okay to just have A1 and A2, just swap positions. Just get those defenders, pivoting their heads back and forth, thinking about what's happening behind the cage while there's a dodge happening up top. Still, M2 is coming to the center of the field, and he's going to fill and replace and balance the field based on which direction M1 goes. Not only is he getting to the middle to give him opportunity left and right, he's bringing his defender in so that M1 doesn't get doubled up. If M2 were to stay here and not move his feet, and M1 was to dodge, his defender is just going to sneak in and double him. So it's important that M2 gets to the middle of the field to clear that space so M1 has the choice to go left or to go right. So let's say M1 was in the center of the field and he decided to go right. Well, M2 is rolling out to the opposite side, sitting backside, looking for passing lanes, but also available to sweep over here to help or to come down to help A1. So he's still balancing the field and being not only a threat, but also an available outlet as this ball moves around the perimeter. Just like a dodge from the corner, we're still getting A3 making that C cut and then following through as M1 moves the ball to A2. M3 was down low screening when the dodge happened, and he's going to move in just a moment. But A2's got the ball, or he's got the stick in his left hand. He's getting that pass. He's looking up, keeping his head up, looking to the crease, looking to the backside. If nothing, he's quickly moving the ball to A1. And you can see here, again, we're looking for some opportunity and we're also balancing the field. M1 moves the ball to A1. A1 doesn't see anything. He moves the ball to A2. And we've got M2 coming down to meet the ball to make that pass shorter. M3, who was on the crease before, is coming back up, setting himself up for a dodging position or at least balancing the field. And M1's getting a cut after his dodge to the crease. So he's got the stick in his left hand. He's looking for opportunity, but mainly he's balancing the field and taking the roles and responsibilities of the crease midi. All right, so let's say in this scenario, we want to get a dodge from behind the net, from an attackman. Well, we can see that our 2-2-2 still stays the same formation. M3 moves his feet, A1's moving his feet, we're making that pass, and we're getting the ball through X. Nothing's different here. This initiates the offense. So as A1 passes that ball to A3, we're getting the sweeping cut, stick in our left hand, and then cutting back to the back post. Crease is high because the ball is low. We're going to call a dodge from behind the net Gipper. Gipper is a name from a Notre Dame football player who played for Newt Rockne and is kind of a part of history. There's a saying called win one for the Gipper because he became very sick in his 20s. And Newt Rockne had a inspirational speech about Gip. So a a dodge from behind is going to call Gipper. And again, if we call that during the game, that's a way of letting all of the guys know who are going to echo the call Gipper that we want to get the ball behind and we want to look for the matchups behind that are favorable for us. So here's what it looks like. A lot of arrows because there's a lot of options. Obviously not doing all of these things, but let's walk through it. So let's say that ball moved from A1 to A3. It crossed through X, so we had M3 sweeping through and then cutting to the backside. A3 makes his dodge, and A1 is responding to A3. If he goes around towards the front of the cage, he's going to replace at X. If he comes around the backside of the cage, he's cutting through, always staying away and bringing his defender with him. M2 simply is stepping down, yes, for a shot opportunity, but also as a release for when A3 makes a dodge. If he doesn't have anything, he can make that easy pass. But you'll see a lot of the activity here is here on the crease. These guys are high because the ball is low. And M1 has a choice. He can cut towards the ball. He can cut backside, depending on what the defenders are doing. And A2 is kind of reacting off of M1. Because he's on his back, A2 can't see him. So he's going to wait to see his movement. And if he sees him go this way, he's probably going to go that way. If he sees him go left, maybe he goes right. Maybe he pops up for space. There's a lot of opportunity here. And these guys get to really choose what they want to do. So we'll practice this two-man game in practice so you guys can get a feel for what it's like to play these little picks and games with each other to get open and to make it tough on the defense. M3 made his sweeping cut, he went backside, and now he's coming out the back, looking for a passing lane to the backside, but also balancing out the field. All right, so A3 made his dodge, and he went up towards the front of the cage. He got to about 6 and 6, which is kind of the promised land to make a shot. Maybe he's question marking, maybe he's cutting around the corner, maybe he's rolling inside. A lot of options here to beat that defender. In terms of passing, he can move the ball to M2, like we discussed, or he can roll back and pass to A1, who slid and reacted to his dodge and is now available back at X. Let's say A2 actually popped up as his choice, his preference, and M1 went backside. Or maybe he went front side and then cut backside. Either way, there's a two-man game happening, and this is where they ended up. M3, again, was sneaking out the backside to balance out the field. Now let's say A3 actually rolled back and he passed to A1. We can immediately redodge right here. We've got the defense moving. They're all thinking. We just had all of that great motion happening above the crease. So A3 passes it back to A1 and immediately cuts through. He's getting to a position opposite side of the crease so that he can mirror whatever A1 is doing. If A1 comes around the right side here, then he's going to go around and replace. If A1 chooses to go lefty, he's going to go back around the left side and replace as well. The crease is getting high, so M1 is noticing the rollback back to X, and he's getting as high as he can to join A2 so that A1 has plenty of real estate to make his moves and also make it a little bit harder on the defense to make that longer slide. And one last scenario. Let's say A1 made his dodge around the right side of the cage here. A3 reacted and went out the backside of the crease. We've got our high crease here because of the ball being low. M3 was back replacing on the backside. And let's say A1 actually just took the easy pass, moved it to M2. You can already see that we're getting back into our reset 2-2-2 formation. M2 would simply move his feet up high. M3 would move his feet up high. Crease would come down low. And we're ready to move the ball again and find our next dodging opportunity. So that sums up the formation, you guys. Again, you've got this link in the email. You can click through and take it at your own pace. You can watch the video, and we can also practice it as much as we possibly can before our games over the weekends. If you have questions, leave comments below, and I will try and answer any questions that I can.